Today in YouTuber news, quick bites. Jake Paul compares Austin McBroom to a Fire Festival creator after allegations no one has been paid from his boxing event. Pokemane responds to Fedmeister's return to Twitch following sexual assault accusations last year. And Gabbie Hanna continues her mission to piss off as many people as possible. This week, it's T-Channel's Jerry Graceffa, remember him, and Daniel Prader. I'm Benedict Townsend, and this is YouTuber news, quick bites. All your YouTube news in bite-sized chunks. Our first story, Jake Paul has compared Austin McBroom, and I've said many times on this show that I feel like Austin McBroom is the name of a broom that was brought to life by magic in some kind of animated 90s Disney movie. I'm not going to go into that now, but I do believe that he is a broom that was given human form to fulfill some kind of long wish or unfulfilled goal. Again, we're not going to get into this now. Anyway, Jake Paul has compared Austin to a Fire Festival creator, specifically the main guy, Billy McFarland, after TikTokers and staff who took part in the Battle of the Platforms boxing event claimed that they haven't been paid by the organisers, which is known as social gloves. Although the event happened weeks ago, TikToker Vinny Hacker claimed while speaking on the BFFs podcast that he hasn't been paid, while Josh Richards said there were lawsuits going ahead behind the scenes. It's been alleged that Austin McBroom of the Ace family, and also one of the headline fighters of the event, actually owns part of Social Gloves, which he's neither confirmed nor denied, leading to Jake Paul posting a photo of McBroom beside a photo of Billy McFarland, the infamous organiser of possibly the biggest scam in pop culture history, Firefest, closely followed of course by TanaCon, as failed events go, although TanaCon was kind of adorable in its own way. Speaking of TanaCon, the TanaCon man herself also added her 2 cents to the conversation, tweeting, quote, "Not Austin McBroom owning most of Social Gloves and then everyone being surprised people aren't getting paid." To which Austin responded by tweeting, quote, "If you're a woman who would love to sleep Tana Mojo in the ring, as in knock her out, hit me up. I would be honoured to make that happen." Tana promptly shut that down by replying, quote, "You realise Triller offers more money than you, right? Maybe I'd fight with Social Gloves when my friends get their checks." Before adding a little bit of scandal as a cherry on top with, quote, "Remember when you had one of your security guards drop $40,000 in a bag to my roommate so they wouldn't expose you cheating? You didn't pay me though, crazy tongue out emoji." I mean, TanaCon had a documentary made about it. And so did Fire Festival. Fire Festival had 2 documentaries made about it, actually, one of them good. So I guess we'll just have to wait for Netflix to drop the expose of this. I mean, that'll be a thrilling and probably quite long and probably quite unviewed by me documentary. Our second story, Pokemane has addressed Fedmeister's controversial return to Twitch following the sexual assault accusations leveled at him last year, adding himself to the growing list of content creators shamed off the internet who are now coming back all at the same time within the same 2 weeks of each other. You got David Dobrik, Shane Dawson's threatening to come back. I think that sneezing panda is back after that big money laundering thing. They're all back. Anyway, Fedmeister made a pretty shock return to Twitch over a year after he was cut from the offline TV house following allegations of sexual misconduct from housemates. I believe we covered that on this very show. At the time, he also shared private details about his relationship, or his interpretation of his relationship, with Pokemane in 2 documents. In this latest Twitch stream, Fedmeister apologized for the sexual harassment claims and the whole Pokemane drama, saying he'll now be using his platform to bring awareness to topics related to women and to educate himself, whatever that means. I'm dedicating this Fortnite match to women's suffrage. For every headshot I get in this Warzone match, I will donate 10p to a women's charity. I don't know what he does on Twitch. I don't know if he does games. Now, during a Twitch stream of her own, Pokemane shared her thoughts on his return, saying she wouldn't comment on whether or not he's changed because words and actions will speak for themselves, but, quote, "All I know is that I can't be friends with someone who sexually assaulted people and handled it the way he did." And she said she wasn't going to be affiliating with him at any point in the future. So we're looking forward to seeing what, quote, topics related to women he'll be talking about. Maybe about how, like, you know, when it comes to women, they shouldn't be Ghostbusters. That would be a fresh take the internet hasn't seen before. That was a bad time. Was that 2016? Everyone just went really insane, but like more so than usual on the internet. Not like now, of course, where everything's great. Speaking of great, finally, Gabbie Hanna is continuing her cringe and bizarre tirade against basically everyone, and this week it's the turn of T Channel's Joey Graceffa and Daniel Prader. And remember, keep an eye out for your mail, because everyone is getting mailed. It's a bit like jury duty. You get mailed which week Gabbie Hanna will be coming for you, and you get given a little time to prepare your response. So she's hoping to get through every human being by the end of the year. Just keep your eye out. Oh, she's coming for me in October. And look, it's not for us to say whether Gabbie is getting so worried about, fading into irrelevancy that she seems to be going through a list of every person she's ever met, worked with, thought about, walked past on the street, and then just making up drama with them, over some old stuff. No, that's for you to decide. I would never comment on that. Now, the three worked together in 2016, yes, 2016, aka 5 years ago. You may remember it as the time when everyone got mad about the Ghostbusters, and it was on the YouTube premium show Escape the Night. Remember that? And apparently, according to comments Daniel made after production, Gabbie was, quote, a nightmare and, quote, miserable to work with, while Joey discussed on a podcast that one person had made the production, quote, hell, which Gabbie herself now claims is her. And in her own new video, which has been released in June of 2021, now you notice the difference between those 2 years, we're first dealing with 2016 and 2021, which in the internet might as well be different centuries. Gabbie admits that she was hard to work with on this show that was half a decade ago and no one thinks about it anymore. But she says, like she often does, she says it was because of her mental health. So the whole thing once again boils down to Gabbie having been really hard to work with, but of course it's everyone else's fault, and then she's making a video about it with a tone of voice that makes the whole thing seem like kind of she was a victim. And look, no way do we want to downplay people's struggles with mental health. It's a very serious thing, but there are some out there who would argue that you cannot always just use your mental health as a cover-all excuse to forgive negative or toxic behavior. Sometimes the two are linked. After a while, maybe you want to take a little bit of personal accountability. You can't just always wave the wand and say, well, I was having a bad mental health day, so I was mean to everyone. Obviously, it's case by case. I'm not a professional, it's not my place to say, but others have argued it. Anyway, both Joey and Daniel responded on Twitter, with Joey tweeting, quote, I've been very silent about how truly awful she was on set, but if this is the game she wants to play, let's play bit. With Daniel writing, quote, it's unfortunate to see my work painted in such a dark light in an attempt for another 15 minutes of relevancy. At best, it's manipulative and delusional. You want the truth, but the question is, can you handle mine? Very dramatic. I love that from Daniel. It's like something from Escape the Night, I presume. Never saw that show. And next up on Gabbie's hit list, we have the T channels. Good thing this isn't a T channel. This is a news channel. And that's the T. Now, for context, over a year ago, again, we're living in the past, Gabbie posted a video that included a photo of Bianca Devins, a young woman who had been murdered, while discussing what an e-girl was. But no context about Bianca and her death were actually mentioned. And as a result, Gabbie was called out by many T channels, criticizing Gabbie for insensitivity and a lack of responsibility for what she was putting in her content. Seems reasonable. And now in a YouTube video titled, quote, hold T channels accountable, brackets, justice for Bianca Devins. Seems like a little switcheroo has happened here. Gabbie clapped back at the T channels for publicising the issue, accusing them of, quote, exploiting Devins for clout. I don't know if I'll even call this a clap back. I think this is when you try and clap back, but you miss your own hands. So it's just like, so you heard that right. The woman who not only brought Bianca into the issue to begin with, but also the woman who is now using Bianca's name in the title of this video as clickbait, is using that video to call out other people for using Bianca's name and image for clout. Like, she could have just called this hold T channels as responsible. She didn't have to do brackets, by the way, Bianca Devins is going to be in this. Like, there's a bit of a snake eating its tail here. Anyway, tune in next week to see who Gabbie's going to come for next. Must be our turn soon. We've been trying very hard to get that shout out, but to no avail. That's all for today. We'll be back on Friday for another full fat episode of YouTuber News on Snapchat and YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And please leave a whole bunch of comments down below because we'd love to read them. Goodbye!